The moment the first note filled the room, time seemed to hesitate. It wasn't loud at first, just a low, steady vibration that crawled across the air like a memory waking up. People glanced around, searching for the source, their faces already forming assumptions. An Elvis voice, rich and velvet deep, usually comes from a certain image. Slicked back hair, confident swagger, maybe a white jumpsuit glittering under the lights. But this voice didn't match the picture anyone had painted in their minds. It came from someone standing quietly, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes lowered not in fear, but in focus. The contrast was jarring. Before the second line was finished, whispers spread through the crowd like electricity. Some smiled in disbelief. Others frowned, trying to reconcile sound with sight. The voice carried that unmistakable Presley warmth, smooth, aching, powerful. Yet it felt fresh, almost reborn. It wasn't imitation, it was resurrection. In that instant, something ancient and familiar collided with the unexpected. And everyone listening realized they were witnessing more than a performance. They were witnessing a moment that would challenge every bias they didn't even know they had. As the song unfolded, the room transformed. Each lyric seemed to peel back another layer of doubt from the audience's hearts. The singer didn't try to act like Elvis. There were no exaggerated moves, no forced charisma. Instead, the voice did all the talking. It trembled in the soft places, then rose with a confident strength that made the walls feel too small. People who had walked in expecting background entertainment now sat frozen, mouths slightly open, eyes locked on the stage. Some felt chills run down their arms. Others felt a tightness in their chest they couldn't explain. This wasn't just nostalgia. It was emotion, raw and unfiltered. The voice carried stories of longing, heartbreak, hope, and resilience, as if it had lived 100 lives before stepping into this spotlight. And still, the biggest shock remained. The person singing did not look like the owner of such a voice. That disconnect made it even more powerful. It forced listeners to confront a simple truth. Talent does not announce itself with appearances. Sometimes arrives quietly, disguised as ordinary, waiting for the right moment to be heard. Behind that voice was a journey few in the audience could have imagined. Long before this stage, there were nights filled with doubt and days shaped by struggle. Music wasn't born in luxury studios or polished rehearsals. It was born in small rooms, borrowed headphones, and moments stolen from exhaustion. Elvis songs became a refuge, a place to hide and heal, to dream of something beyond limitations. Singing wasn't about fame, it was about survival. Each note practiced in solitude carried a piece of hope, a belief that maybe, just maybe, this gift had a purpose. Yet the world has a way of telling people who they're supposed to be, what they're allowed to dream, and where their limits lie. Many times, those voices are louder than music itself. But this singer held on, choosing faith over fear, melody over doubt. That perseverance was now echoing through the room, felt by every person listening, even if they didn't know the story yet. The voice wasn't just channeling Elvis, it was channeling years of resilience, patience, and quiet courage. As the performance reached its peak, the shift in the room became undeniable. People weren't just listening anymore, they were feeling. Some wiped away tears they hadn't planned to shed. Others smiled, not because they were entertained, but because they were moved. The judges, the crowd, the skeptics, all were united by a shared disbelief that had turned into admiration. When the singer hit that final, soaring note, it lingered in the air long after the sound faded. Silence followed, heavy and sacred, the kind that only comes after something truly special. Then, like a wave crashing into shore, applause erupted. It wasn't polite clapping, it was thunderous, emotional, uncontrollable. People stood without realizing it, driven by instinct rather than choice. In that moment, labels dissolved. Backgrounds didn't matter. Appearances didn't matter. What mattered was the connection that had just been forged between a voice and thousands of hearts. This wasn't about Elvis anymore, it was about authenticity, about the power of being unexpected. For the singer, that applause wasn't just noise, it was validation. Not of ego, but of existence. It was proof that the quiet hours, the unseen sacrifices, and the moments of almost giving up had meant something. Standing there, bathed in light and sound, the singer finally allowed themselves to breathe. This wasn't the end of a journey. It was the beginning of a new chapter. The world had listened, and more importantly, it had understood. The performance had shattered stereotypes and reminded everyone present that greatness often hides in plain sight. Sometimes the most powerful voices come from those who were never expected to speak this loudly. The Elvis voice that stunned the room wasn't about copying a legend. It was about honoring one by keeping the spirit alive in a new, honest way. And that honesty resonated deeper than any costume or imitation ever could. Long after the lights dimmed and the crowd dispersed, the echo of that voice remained. People would replay the moment in their minds, retelling it to friends, posting clips, struggling to explain what they felt. "You won't believe who it came from," they'd say, still shaking their heads in disbelief. But the true magic wasn't just the surprise. It was the lesson hidden within it. Talent doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't follow rules or fit molds. It emerges when it's ready, from places we least expect. That Elvis voice reminded the world that assumptions are fragile, and that beauty often lives beyond what the eyes can see. In one unforgettable performance, a quiet soul rewrote expectations, proving that sometimes the greatest shock isn't how good something sounds, but who it comes from.